Okay, folks, so we are the living history staff here at the Alamo. We're going to go over the primary firearm that you would have seen used in this siege and battle, and that is the smoothbore musket. Now, this is a soldier's weapon. Now, if any man joined the regular army during this period, and he's placed in the line infantry, this is the firearm he will be issued. And these are what we call smoothbore, flintlock, muzzle-loading firearms. Well, what does that stuff mean? Well, flintlock, that is a ignition system that fires the weapon off. You have a piece of flint held in the jaws. That strikes a piece of steel called a frizzen. It actually scrapes it open, giving us a spark that lands into the powder, and that discharges the weapon. The thing is you have to rely on the flint, and the flint must maintain a sharp edge in order to create the spark. Well, every time you fire the weapon off, you're wearing down the flint. So they do average 1 in 7 shots of the weapon not going off, and you may see that in this demonstration. Now, muzzle loading, what does that mean? Muzzle loaders, so the muzzle is the end of the barrel, so the gunpowder and ball must be pushed down the barrel to load the firearm. So these things take quite a bit of time to load. Now, smooth bore, what that means is there's no rifling in the bore of these firearms. So what is rifling? Well, rifling is a series of cut grooves, it was usually 7, that were cut into the bore of a rifled weapon, and they twist. And what that does when you shoot a lead ball, and it's all lead ball this time, it will grab that rifling and impart a spin on the ball as it exits the barrel. And a spinning ball is going to go straight and give us a greater range. So hunting rifles, which is what you'll see mostly out here on the frontier, is a hunting weapon. Those have a range between 300 and 400 yards. Okay, they were very accurate. That'd be the type of firearm Colonel Crockett would have had, men coming here from Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, that are showing up, men living out here, had hunting rifles. But the soldier's weapon, the musket, is not rifled, so the barrel of this is a pipe. Now, when you shoot a loose ball without a patch, this weapon, the ball is going to bounce down the barrel. Whatever end it strikes on the muzzle as it exits, the ball is going to go the opposite direction. So soldiers, what they would have with the paper cartridges, they would have powder ball, and the paper itself is the wadding. That will help prevent the ball from rattling down the barrel. But when the ball comes out, because it is not rotating, it'll travel straight to about 75 to 100 yards. After that, it will begin to turn, much like a knuckleball does in baseball. Up, down, left, right. We don't know where it's going to go. So to make up for the inaccuracy of this weapon, we need the men standing in a line, shoulder to shoulder, and we fire together at once in mass volleys. Okay, doing that, we're going to hit more the enemy on the field. Okay, but the enemy's doing it to us, same thing. Okay? Now, why would we use this weapon over a rifle, even though the rifle's far superior? Well, it all boils down to speed of loading. Okay? The rifle, because of the rifling and the bore of the gun, everything's, again, muzzle loaded. That can take about a minute to load one shot, because it was really difficult driving the ball down a rifled bore. In fact, you have to pound it in. But this not being rifled, smooth bore, these are easier to load. A soldier with a musket must load this under 20 seconds. In fact, it's regulation. So he should be getting 3, possibly 4 shots a minute with this weapon compared to 1 with the rifle. And the battlefield is speed of loading. And again, the rate of fire is going to win. If you can fire more lead at the enemy, you're going to push them off and take the field. That was more important. Now, the morning of this battle, we know that all the men in the Alamo, all of them had several muskets and or rifles loaded next to them that morning. They're just grabbing and firing as quick as they could. Okay? Well, we have to know how to load this thing, so we need to know the military drill of loading. So we're going to start the men at order arms, tell them to shoulder arms. Now, this would be the most common way of carrying a weapon on the march. And if you're infantry in the line, the weapon goes on the left shoulder. Now, we're going to tell the men to load in 12 times. Load. Open, pin. Handle, cartridge. Now, the cartridge, as I mentioned before, is a paper tube. It has ball and powder all rolled up in it, so it's all there. Now, these are crimped over, and the only way we can open this is to tear cartridge. They would bite off the end of it and spit it out. Prime. I'm going to pour gunpowder into the priming pan. We then tell them to shut the pan and cast about. Charge cartridge. The remaining powder is then poured into the barrel. The ball stays in the paper. They wad it up and stuff it into the muzzle. And we have to drive it to the breech. So we'll tell them to draw ramrod. ram cartridge. So you sling it in, pack it tight, return ramrod. Shoulder, arms. They bring the weapon to the left shoulder, which then tells the officer that they're loaded and ready to go. And again, on the quickest time on the field, this must be done in 20 seconds. It can be difficult because you are being shot at, however. About face. So when we see that they are loaded at that left shoulder, we know the last 3 commands of ready, aim, and
fire.
Boom. Shoulder, arms. Go to the shoulder and we do it all over. Okay? Now the man on the end over there, that is our drummer. Okay? He is very important. And he's not just used to keep us in cadence during the march, but he's used on the battlefield because it can be so loud with muskets, rifles, artillery going off. The men at the end of the line cannot hear the commands, but they can hear that drum. So he is relaying the commands to the men in the line. Now we're going to fire 3 volleys. The first shot will be done in the 12-step. The last 2 will be done the quickest time by the drum. So again, folks, it's going to be loud. If you have sensitive hearing, please cover the ears.
Load in 12 times. Load. Open. Head. Handle cartridge. Tear cartridge. Pry. Shut pan. Cast about. Charge cartridge. Draw ramrod. Ram cartridge. Return ramrod. Shoulder, arm. Turn fire. Ready. Aim.